chakra, to cultivate fire, and not fire to cook food, but fire to ripen our qualities in a life, such as joy, for example. So that's what we have been talking about. So tonight is very much has to do with the two aspects. One is called pervasive wind, and one is called the action. So I think in some way it's maybe this time in situation in the world seems like talking about action seems like everybody's worried and fearful about taking any actions, or having difficulty taking any actions or something like that. So I think maybe it's appropriate time to maybe talk a little bit. So if there's in Buddhism there is a term called enlightened action. We call in Tibetan we call solme rinji to be tile. I know I'm not expecting anybody to understand this. So solme basically means the effortless. Rinji means perfected or spontaneously perfected. Tile means enlightened action. So that if you look at a word, basically what it means that for all enlightened beings, they are also very active, but their forms of activity is probably quite different than ours, because their activity is not so much linked with the tensions, competitions, or stress, fear, or too much of hope, expectations. The action is not very much linked with these typical emotions that whenever we're trying to do, we very much linked with that, and particularly when we call it professions, then it's very much linked with that. As when we think about service, supposed to be less connected with those issues, but sometimes even people do services, they're caught up with the same situation back. In some way, when you do service, it's a place where you don't want to have any of those things, just purely do whatever it takes, to do it from open heart. I always give an example about our neighbor down in the Serenity Ridge, John, who used to living close to it. And when I asked what he did, he said he went to India. And I said, what did you do in India? He said he went to the Amritsar Golden Temple. And I said, what did you do there? He said he woke up and every morning, 5 in the morning, and cleaned the floor of the temple. I said, okay, that's my neighbor. So I want a neighbor like that who didn't want to become the president of the organization or something like that. Just wanted to clean the floor. That's it. Just come there with open heart, clean the floor, and leaves. So it's something like that. So it's very much sometimes our service is supposed to be like that, but it can be caught up with issues too. So anyway, so if you look in life, the question about, let's not think about enlightened actions, not compare ourselves to the enlightened beings, but we can at least think about whatever we do in our life, how much anxiety, how much view, for example, how much open view you have, what you do. Think about whatever you do, how open you are to what you do, how clear you are in what you do, how optimistic you are in what you do, how hopeful you are in what you do, how a sense of collaboration and invitation that you have what you do, how much acceptance and considerations of others' feelings, others' view, how much you have. And or in contrary, one can be kind of shut up internally, very close, because as I said, the crown is not very open. There's not so much sense of awareness of openness in life. There's no so much sense of this union, very, very important quality of union of that space and light, not so much in ourselves. Therefore, all these qualities that I just spoke about it, like being very open view, optimistic, and very positive and collaborative, and considering others' opinion, invitation, And all those qualities merge from that union of space and light. They don't just come out from nothing. They come from some specific part of either you can psychological dimension or the experiential dimension. It comes from a very specific place in our life. So if you look, if you see there's not so much openness and these qualities I just mentioned, then obviously we're still going to do things in our life. You know, we are still alive, we are still breathing, we are still eating, we are still walking, and we are still, people still expect you to do things, and you're still, you know, wanting to do, and you do. But so when you do it, you run into trouble. You run into trouble because all the qualities that we're supposed to have in order to have some spontaneous action or effortless action or joyful action, there's no quality to have that actions. Because now if then you don't have that, then clearly what you see, you right away you face. What kind of things you face? You face tension, you get exhausted, you get disappointed, you get upset, very stressed, psychologically affecting you, the health-wise is affecting you, your view of the world is not very positive. So it's just one after another, there's so much negative consequences we suffer from. So this is, I mean, this is what we experience in everyday life, or everyday basis that people experiences that. So, I mean, how to change that? Basically, first, of course, one thing is to, when one is caught up with those situations in life, not to, you know, always, I mean, what we usually tend to do, we think, say, okay, well, this is the situation, this is the environment that I'm living because of the environment. This is because a group of people that I work with, is their problem. This is the person that I live with, is his problem or her problem. This basically, we can find so many good reasons to look every possible situation except oneself. And we don't look at oneself. So if that's most of the time people have attitude that I have nothing to do with, I'm primordially pure. You know, I just haven't recognized that, but otherwise I'm primordially pure. The problem is all this what around it me. So we just basically leave ourselves and just kind of rationalize everything else is imperfect around us. So this is typically we tend to do. Of course, sometimes that they might have some good reasons. But even there is a good reason. If you change, world change. If you change first, the world will change after you right away. I mean, things that you would never think something will change, after you change, they change. That's the amazing thing, you know. So who's going to take first step? Of course, one thing in one of the things in everyday life, we want, you know, first you change, then I will change. For they change, then I will change. I'm going to change, but I want you to change first. You see, so that's kind of normal expectation. So I mean, according to the teaching, what need to do is just when one is facing those situations in one's life, first ask this question. You know, how much I am contributing to this my stress, tension, the negative feelings that I'm having, or just whatever is going on, how much I'm contributing in it. You know, so and if you look at that, you will clearly see. So ability, a willingness to look, able to reflect deep enough within oneself, and in the end, the recognition will be to see some lack of quality. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So some lack of quality of, for example, acceptance. Sometimes we just have to accept. Sometimes there's nothing you can do, just simply say it's fine. Of course, not to just say it's fine, but feel it, have some realization of it, some deep understanding of it, that it is fine. Other situation, it doesn't mean that you become very passive and just accept every situation around you. But other situation, when you're looking at the life, you see that things can be changed. And when you see things can be changed, and it's question about, not to, there's some sense of open view, a lightness about what you wanted to change, some enthusiasm and some energy in what you wanted to change. Those qualities are there, and you're able to change what you wanted to change, but without getting stress or tension, or driving oneself or around oneself, or driving other people around oneself crazy. So it's very much about a specific, basically the bottom line is that when we see ourselves situation and like that, ask this question: what quality I'm lacking? What quality I'm lacking? I'm lacking a joy. I'm not very happy in what I'm doing, for example. So, of course, you can say, well, I'm going to change my job. That's one possibility. And many times, I know like many students around in this country, they have very good jobs. But there is a lack of awareness of their jobs. How wonderful it is to have a job, especially in this climate. Everybody is losing job. So it's like, so there's some sense of a recognition. It seems like a lacking. And so if of course there's sometimes you have to change things. So either you change your view or your job, and that's only two possible things, right? Very often, if you haven't realized what grateful position one is, then you have to change view. In order to change view, like some sense of you saying not being happy in that position, then maybe it's not about the job. Maybe it's not about the relationship that you have. It's not about the situation around you. Maybe it's about something missing in you. A simple quality called joy, it's not so much in you. Therefore, it's just having a very wonderful excuse to manifest sadness and anger and anxiety, anxiousness in this situation, because that it just supports to manifest that. So if you recognize a missing quality, then that's what we encourage people to do is just go back. If you recognize there's no enough strength in my joy, there's no enough acceptance, I don't feel strong enough to accept things. If you recognize the weakness of the quality, then maybe the quality is not there at all to begin with. Sometimes that happens. Why I'm not enthusiastic about life? Why I'm not excited about things in life? Maybe the excitement is not there at all. Why I'm not so happy in this relationship? Maybe happiness in you, not in you, and the level that it can express itself in the situation. When you're really happy, no matter what kind of situation you encounter, your happiness expresses even the worst situation. It just glows, and happiness takes over the worst situation. When happiness is very weak, there's 100,000 reasons to be happy and joyful, but it's not still able to not manifest, penetrate in that situation, because you still see some problem. My relation is good, but not that good. There's always some doors are closed to express or feel that happiness. So anyway, all idea of a spontaneous action or enlightened action, needing a specific quality, and some of these quality might not be strong enough there to recognize that. If it's not strong enough there, maybe it's not there. If it's not there, maybe something else is there. So that's what what we call to trace back. Something else is there. Well, what can be there? Maybe if you're thinking about joy, then maybe some sadness is there. Some depression is there. So when it's there, then what do you do? Basically, we will talk about it clear. So just clearing. So going back is, so here is to do the first exercises to clear things. So this, we do a lot of these practices to trying to first to recognize what needed to be clear, and clear these kind of energy. And how do you clear this energy? This energy can be cleared if you have a good contact, good relationship with that energy. And very often people do not have a good relationship with energy, that kind of energy. Even, for example, people have some deep sadness. They don't have a good, true connection to that sadness, because they always think my sadness has to do with something else. There's always somebody else to blame, some situations to be corrected. But they don't think it's just kind of energy in oneself that could be shift and could be changed, could be open. So we always talk about how you do that is to be conscious and be aware of that. How you be conscious and aware of that? Not by talking too much, right? Not talking too much, or not by thinking too much, or not by even reflecting too much. We do reflect time to time. I mean, we do enough, so it's not needed to be encouraged. But it's more like trying to connect, to feel it, what I'm feeling. Draw attention inward. Trying to recognize what I feel, like what kind of sadness, the seeds of sadness there, but seeds of fear is there. Seeds of like imbalances, it's there. A seed of like ungrounded qualities is there. A seed of lack of some sense of peace is there. What is there? So if you look inward and you're trying to look, you will feel it. You will feel it, like if you're looking on the table, you will see very clear there's how many things are there. By not thinking, by not talking, by not judging, you can clearly see it. And once you sense and connect with that feeling, whatever blockages are there, once you sense that, we say remains stillness. Your body should be still. Inner speech should be silence. Mind should be thought-free that moment. If you do that, then you have connected, what I call it, then you have selected, like in a computer. You have selected the file, now you have to press the delete button, right? So the exercise itself is like the delete button. Because it's physically, exercise involves with the movement and the breath. So how we store this kind of energy, it's in our body and in the wind. So body, physical exercise helps. And then the holding of the breath helps. That's wind related. So in a way, so working like that, we clear it in the crown, in our head. Okay, now I feel more clear. Now I feel less sadness. Now I feel more peace. Now I feel more grounded. Now I feel more connected. You see, you begin to, in a deep place, you begin to feel the shift of qualities. Once you feel that, now I feel more space. Then question about, am I aware of that openness? There are many moments, I think, in our life we can be so open. We are so open, but we don't recognize that openness because of our thoughts and emotions and so on. Do I recognize that? So I recognize it. So once you recognize that, so that what is there? What do you recognize? You recognize space, there's awareness, the union of these two quality, and then you can feel some quality, like joy. Joy will just come without any appointments, without any schedules. Like, does the depression has a schedule? People who get depressed, it can be 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning, in the middle of the night. It just comes like that. Because why? Depression is ripened. Does anger has a schedule? No. Anger can just spontaneously, effortlessly manifest. Why? Because it's ripened. So if you look at the negative side of many negative expression of our emotions, they spontaneously, effortlessly, no matter where it is, it can come because it's ripened. So we wanted to have the same kind of experiences with the positive quality. Can it happen? Yes. How it can happen? We have to go back to the space, awareness, union, fire, and action. So action only happens if you go back. Right action only happens when it's connected to the root. So that's one principle, okay? Now, another principle one can think of is that what is in enlightened action, what is there in enlightened action? I think in a way I can say two principal qualities. There's openness, there's awareness. An action which has openness and awareness, it's called enlightened action. That makes sense? If you look at your stressful action, why is stressful? Because it lacks openness, it lacks awareness. So every enlightened action manifests based on that openness and awareness. For example, I'll give you an example of love. Love is a very interesting thing, right? We can have so many different kinds of love. You can say, I love pizza. That's one love. You can say, I love divine, my wisdom. That's one love. You can say, I love my family. That's one love. You can say, I love my husband. I love my child. You can see every kind of love has different qualities. Why? Because it's not the same. For example, loving your partner, husband or wife versus loving your child, it's quite a different thing. Right? Child, it's very strong. What is about? Of course, it's a very samsaric thing. It's a lot of attachment in it. There's much more pain in it. And then husband and wife, that's the second category of pain. I'm not right? Yeah. You see, it is a samsaric thing, you see. Samsaric thing, there is attachment. I mean, if you look at any relationship, or even particularly those who doesn't last, the more attachment there is, the more confusion and more pain there is. It has nothing to do with the pure sense of love. It's just a question of how purer some loves are. I mean, that's the only thing in the samsaric sense of love. I always say, you love as much as you can love someone in a maximum until it begins to produce pain. That is the way you're crossing the boundary, where it's just crossing the boundary. So you don't want to love someone when pain starts to become. Right? Unless you want a pain. But you can love until there. Any virtuous quality, I think, is the same principle that attachment. You can be attached to things. I mean, there's even another choice in our life, right? we don't have an option to be not attached. But we might have some option if you are practicing, meditating, we can say how much and how less. So you want to be attached to someone, somebody, something, and as much as it gives some sense of hope, joy, support. But when it goes beyond that, when it becomes destructive, pain, then that attachment is not good. And everybody have experiences with that attachment, right? And you probably have a lot of those experiences, and you altogether give up attachment at all. Altogether give up attachment, that's not very good. Because you haven't really given up, it's still there, but you're not exercising it properly. You know, one thing is not to have, is one thing is unable to exercise properly. Right? So anyway, the point is that the enlightened action, it seems like so much has to do with the space and light. As I give example of love and I think love is a very, very good example of it, because if you can see, you can look at in your life one example where you feel so much love but so much open. Give all the different categories of becoming less and less and less open, and more and more and more attached in the same story of love. Then if you look down in the line, you can see there's more and more and more and more pain. So where all the more pain comes, because there's a more lack of space. It's clear. That makes sense?
Space of what?
What?
Space of what? Of awareness or opening chakra, or space of what?
Space, or when we say, are you open? You know, when you're open towards something, that's called space, right? When you, for example, if you love somebody very much, you always have in the back of your mind, you always have to be open in the situation. That person will next day say, okay, you know, bye.
The choices here.
Not choices. You are open toward any outcomes. You know, like for example, I give one example of it. Somebody one time said that this person is very, very sick and going through all kind of treatment, and she said, okay, I'm trying this one last thing, and if meant to work, it's great. If it doesn't meant to work, it's fine. So basically means openness toward any outcomes. So that when you have some confidence like that, that's very strong confidence. You're a winner, and you're a winner. In either case, you're a winner. If you lose, you're a winner. If you win, you're a winner. So that is a very strong kind of confidence, to have confidence like that in life. But if you look in any situation where you feel so much fear, you can see clearly you're not accepting any outcomes. You have one specific outcomes. Why? I mean, it's okay to have one specific outcomes, but there is no openness in that. You see? So openness is the key. Space is the key. We say heart open your heart. What does that mean? You say open to the situation. What does that mean? You know, any time when there is a space, in the space there is a more opportunity to have a light. Anytime there is a light, there is a beauty, the union between the space and light, there is a lot of beauty to reflect all the nature, to reflect more. It's the same thing internally. Whenever there is a space, it gives a rise to the energy, to the light or awareness. And whenever there is these two qualities there, it gives the quality to, and all quality, like a joy. Any given moment, if one situation is there, to be joyful, it will be joyful because you are open to it. You don't need so much cause condition to be happy. Like bodhisattvas, like their compassion is like that. But they don't look for some troubled people to have a compassion. But when there is somebody, compassion manifests. But they're not looking for an object of compassion. If you're trying to help somebody, you're not trying to help somebody who is in trouble, but when there is somebody, you are prepared there. So it's this spontaneous quality is very much ready to be act, but it's not expecting to be acting. And that's what it is. Many times in our life, you look, even good things, you're trying to help somebody. We all know that. You're trying to help somebody. Say, I'm helping you, I'm trying to do you. But you are not listening to me. You see? That's not openness. And that's why many times when somebody in the families, that's typical family problems. You run into problems. Even you have been nice, compassionate, loving, giving, but you still have a problem with that because you're giving all those things, you want everybody to change according to your face, your speed, your expectations. That when you expect like that, it's not called openness. You see? So anyway, now the principles here, like these 5 steps, what I call 5 steps of development, I think energetically they follow the rule like that. Psychologically, it follows the rule like that. I think elementally speaking, it follows the rule like that. So if somebody is interested to have a spontaneous action, you got to be interested in how it can happen, not why it's not happening. That makes sense? Because why it's not happening? We're stuck in there. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. But how it can happen, if you look back a little bit and trace back a little bit, some deeper shift need to be happen, and then on the surface things can change. That's my personal experience, and that is experience that I've been teaching, and that experience people who have recognized those aspects, they have able to make faster and greater shifts in their life. Because it's like, for example, I always say, how long have you been trying to be happy? Okay, that's a simple example. How long have you been trying to be happy? So, did it work? So if it didn't work, then it's a smart thing to say, this must be the wrong way of doing it. To change something. This is simple. Why? It's not a matter of trying. It's trying to a matter of finding some different place of being and connecting those deeper places and trying to have more realization in those places, so from there then it can shine, it can radiate, it can manifest. But if you're not doing anything in the deeper places, expecting some miracle to happen in the surface, that's not going to happen, and that did not happen, it will not happen. So these exercises simply are a method, a physical dimension and pranic dimension of method to trying to open specific chakras. Yeah, so this 5th exercise has to do with the secret chakra and the sexual organ, for example. So there's one specific exercise. So somehow that with this exercise, energetically connecting with that location, energy center, and doing that exercise, opening that energetically, opening that place, open that place. It's like opening that place and giving the birth. And if it is open, then energetically in the life, if something has ripened, you're easy to give birth to it. If the joy is ripened, then you can give the birth to the joy easier, because of that energy center is open. When that energy center is blocked, if something is ripened, it's hard to give birth. I know like that energy center and action seems like probably not exactly Western thought and kind of link there, but if you think a more easier way to understand will be the heart, for example. Right? We all think about open your heart and then you feel love or something like that. So for this exercise, with the what we call life force exercise, working with the heart chakra, exercise itself is able to open the physical energy center. When it opens that physical energy center, it allows the flow, the prana or the wind or the energy better. When that energy is flowing better, then the emotion love, it allows to flow better. So that physical exercise has something to do with the emotional opening, the link between two. Of course, when we don't usually think that way, right? We don't think, okay, you do this exercise 7 times and then next day you're going to emotionally be more open. But that is the case. What we do, I want next week to open. We have agreed to open. We have agreed to have fun together and loving and fun relationship. So those agreement doesn't work because it's made it up with mind, and nothing has changed internally. Right? That makes sense? Any questions? Too much? Yes.
Rinpoche, when you were talking about the kind of confidence you have with love that doesn't have conditions or judging, I'm thinking it might be the same thing as a strong commitment, or what would be the distinction between a strong commitment that you get from that kind of, when you have that kind of love, as well as the strong confidence?
Yeah, you can have strong commitment, but strong commitment can be very much a pressure, social, religious pressure. It doesn't necessarily means that you have open-hearted or you have enlightened quality of commitment. Like something very clear, very lively kind of commitment, but it's more rather that, okay, we have agreed. We have a signature signed. So, those are the things, like in life, it's very much like there's something that more, this is what we were saying, expectations and things like that. There are a lot of qualities which blocks the enlightened action. Sometimes, of course, it doesn't mean we don't do things in our life. We can do things in our life, a lot of things. Basically, another example will be, how active you can be in your life. One can be very active in one's life. Do you have to be exhausted? No. That's another good example of it. I think it's a good example of it will be that I'm not talking about enlightened in a sense like really enlightened. I'm talking about more in even this kind of ordinary enlightenment, okay, things that one can be very active. But do you have to be exhausted with your actions? No. Why? Because you work with the openness, you work with the clarity, and you know when to work and you know when to stop. Like for example, if we have one problem, you can think about that problem for 24 hours, and we usually do. That's not very enlightened action. But you can think about that problem for half an hour. That's okay. So it's like a constantly being caught up with or drained by a situation. We become basically victims of many situations in our life. One event, but you just sucks your energy 24 hours. I was just in New Mexico down there, and I visited 2 hospitals, and 2 cancer hospitals, and one of the places they call winning circles, and so basically this survivals group of people there, and you know, I was trying to teach them 9 breathing exercise, and then I don't know what to say so much because they were completely new in meditation and topics, and they don't know much. So one thing came to me to tell them, which I thought was very good somehow to look, everybody can think that way, is that, you know, when your fear manifests, when your anxiety manifests, when you doubt, think about this. You don't have to spend hours in that situation. Just that thing. When you're feeling comfortable with your sickness, but you don't have to sit for hours, or you don't have to sit for a whole night with that thought, whole day with that thought, whole week with that thought. You don't. Of course, it's not easy when you're challenged, but that is the work you have to do. You have to tell yourself, I don't have to sit for hours in that thought. I can have a thought. I mean, I cannot not help myself not to have a thought, because it's very strong. You're facing death. But when you recognize that you don't have to sit for a whole night, then you do the practice. You do the 9 breathing, you do the Tsalung, you practice. Of course, when you're doing the first time practice, you always question, will this practice work? Maybe it will not work. Maybe it will work. You just talk within yourself like that, but you give a chance. And you know, many people then they when they're trying to give a chance, and they will come up and say, it really helped. Situations like that. So that something energetically release, or something is easier to energetically release than psychologically making decision to not think about it. That makes sense? Psychologically say, oh, I don't want to think about the problem. You're still thinking about it. I don't want to think tomorrow, but you're thinking now. You know, we talk like that. It's very hard to cut that and just be clear and cut that stuff. But energetically, if you know energetically how to work with that, it's much easier. Even it gives you hope when you shift the focus toward more like energetic sense, then mind kind of get confused. You know, I don't know what to do now. You know, whole attention went to somewhere else. Mind is kind of a little confused and a little free. Things like that. So.
When is hope a bad attachment? When does it become too hopeful? You say, you talk about not having enough. When does it become, you spoke of it earlier, having too much hope. How do you strike that balance?
Well, basically, you know, like each given situation, circumstances in our life, we have some intelligence to see how much is there to hope. I mean, it's also, it requires some kind of clarity that, so the reasonable hope. So how much is there something to hope? So when there is something, that hope, even the hope, that kind of hope can have some lightness in it. You know, some lightness in it means that you're hoping, you're trying to do your best. If any moment anything goes wrong, you can say, okay, fine. But other kind of hope that any moment, even a question, feels hurts. You don't want that kind of hope. I mean, that kind of hope is not a good hope. Hope with the light, again, is the same thing. What we're talking about, love with some sense of space. Hope with the space. Just come down to the same point. Hope. I mean, if you're in life, I don't know if each one can look at in your life. Do you remember a moment where you're really like so open and you're so active and trying to change your life and trying to do things, whatever you're trying to do, but at the same time you are clearly open for any change? If you look at that, that's a very, very powerful position to be. But when you are trying to do so hard and you are not willing to accept any change unless something what you're expecting is the outcome, then you're in a big trouble. So that in order to have that, it always comes back to the feeling having more space. You know, in order to have more space, it somehow in deep inside one needed to feel connected to oneself. We'll break from all the things in the mind and head. You know, yeah, so basically in the end, deep sense of more connection. We all need to connect more to ourselves. The more a true connection we find, the more we will have what we are talking about. The more we are out there, the less we can connect deep in ourselves, the less deeply we cannot connect in ourselves, we're going to face all the problems that we're facing. So that's why when the warrior sees a practice of sound, it just basically just brings you back, focusing on the sound and trying to clear energetically what you feel. And sometimes, you know, people say, I'm sad, I feel sad or something. It feels like many times people are not even connected with their emotions. They have idea of what they're feeling, but they're not really feeling it. It's more their thought. It's more their thinking. It's more their view of themselves. But their connection, true connection to the emotion, they're disconnected. It feels like that many times. So when you're not connected to your true emotion, there's no way of cleaning it or clearing it because you have no connection. And when some people think, oh, I'm connecting with my emotions, and they say, oh, I have connected with the emotion, now I have cleared my emotion. Everything is happening in their head. And the next day they said, oh, I thought it was clear, but I'm still depressed, I'm still angry. Well, that's true. Because you have never got a connection to it. You have never cleared it. You've never been in touch with it. So how are you going to clear it? So our thought plays a very kind of important role, you know, in a kind of negative way, what will not allow us to connect. So that's why idea of being still, silent, and thoughtless in the process of healing is very important. Any other questions?
It means to be connected with yourself. It's possibility to be able thoughtless, totally thoughtless. It's like keep meditation always.
Well, I mean, always thoughtless might be difficult.
No, yeah, of course it's hard. And,
yeah.
But anyway, go back to the meditative.
Yeah, basically, like for example, like Tsalung exercise, okay? The physical exercise or practice with the sound, it's the same principle. One is vibration of the sound, one is working on the physical movement. So, I just give example of it. I can look at myself. I can see, well, I'm not very depressed, but I'm not feeling fully clear in myself inside. Therefore, I feel like this little cloud, little sadness, little lack of energy, little lack of enthusiasm, something like that. You know, if I look at inside, I can see it, right? But if I look at outside, I have wonderful stories about it. I have a problem with that person, that situation. I have a fantastic story about its full-blown action. But that I don't want. I will leave it right now. It's just not my interest. When we work personally, we don't look at it very much like that. Yes, sir. I can clearly see inside myself. Okay, well, I have some good idea. Now, what I do? I try to be very still in my body. I'm trying to be totally silent. I'm trying to be completely thought-free. But I'm drawing my attention, my awareness is attention toward what I'm recognizing something in me. That cloud. That kind of dark, pervasive cloud. I cannot see with my eye, but I can connect with my attention. And when I feel quite a good connection, then I do the movement. With the movement, I'm trying to clear it. I draw attention, produce a sound. With the vibration, I'm trying to clear it. Or I'm just simply trying to be aware. You see, there are three ways. One, with the movement, physical. One, with the sound, with the breath, like energy, the wind. One, the last one option is just awareness, pure awareness. So my awareness is simply being aware of it. So when I'm aware of it, my awareness is seeing something different. It's gradually clearing what I'm seeing it, because who is seeing is very clear, and what is seeing is not very clear. By the time you're being more and more aware, it kind of clears. So maybe like half an hour or 1 hour sitting like that there, I'm just feeling well right after, because the awareness has affected what I was seeing. Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, I have another good example of it. So when you get up in the morning, like you go, who I am. Okay. If you remember one of those mornings, now what do you do? Hold up. So if you look inside, that's what you're feeling. Who I am, why I'm in. Bad mood, basically. The simple way to look at it would be the bad mood. Okay, you wake up with a bad mood. So now if you know you're in a bad mood, and if you have some energetically way to clean your bad mood, will be the good time to do in the morning. Not when after you have created a big mess in your office. Or work, in the family, or I don't know, wherever, any situation. It's too late. But the good time, when you feel that, now, again, you do the Tsalung, you do 9 breathing, or even simply just a 10-minute, just recognize. Open your mind and see that energy. Recognize it. That bad mood. It will clear. If you don't clear it, then you sit there for 1 hour or 2 hours. Then what happened? That bad mood just not stay as bad mood. And you can feel, for example, not worth. I talk about bad mood, I talk about the sense of completeness. An opposite of sense of completeness means missing, lacking, problems, just not worth. All this more manifestation arises from there, and then you can see problems. And then when you don't clear that and you sit with that another few hours, then you begin to feel bad. You feel anger, for example. And maybe you already find a very good reason to be angry, or sometimes when you don't have anger, then you get angry at yourself. Because you haven't met anybody, so it's hard to get angry at somebody. So you can get angry at you, but if you met somebody, then you can immediately find somebody, good excuse is better. Then you sit with that. You sit with that for a few hours, then you will say something terrible negative. You can see, so the bad mood, if you keep on staying with it, it doesn't stay in the same position, on the same form, it changes, it grows. And in the end, it becomes an action. Same thing, same positive experience is the same thing. But the question is, instead of bad mood, how to find that clear space and how to move from that space down to action. We all know that. I mean, many situations when you're challenged, when you hold the space, it's amazing. If you're able to hold a space in a challenging situation, you can see things change right in front of you. That is how powerful that space and energy is. That space, that silence, that thought-free. I'll give always example. I heard this. What is it? The American Express Company. I heard they did some research down in Florida, that there were 300 people. They are calling everybody, saying, "Okay, you owe money. You have to pay money." Calling everybody's debts, and they did a research about seeing who was the most successful collecting monies among all these 300 people. They realized one woman was most successful, and then they're trying to see what she was doing, being very successful, than many times more than all the other people. And they're trying to see how you talk. You know, they talk the same way like everybody else is taught to say. And then they tapped her conversation, trying to really analyze what she was. The only differences they found was that she has a silence when she talks. Like, it gives a space, a silence. And then they realize, oh, that silence can make millions of dollars, you see. Yeah, you see, so the power is not so much of talking about the silence that she was holding was giving the people to breathe, and people's response was totally different to her than everybody else. So that's what we're talking about, you know, the same principle. So anyway, let's do this one exercise, then you can, if you have another question, you can ask, okay? So, did we do the pervasive prana last time? I don't know, remember. No. We didn't do, okay. Okay. So, pervasive prana will be the abiding, what do we call it, abiding place or location of the pervasive prana will be below the navel, about 4 inches. Okay, so pervasive prana basically means the wind which pervades, and in our emotional sense, you can think about anything that you feel being stuck. Okay, anything feels stuck. Okay, either emotion or activities also that matter. You know, like something that you feel like, okay, well, I can do this, I cannot do that. That's too much for me, right? Okay. Anytime you use this mantra, it's too much for me. Have you said that lately? Right? And remember, think about it. One thing. Lately, have you said, "This is too much for me"? Right? Okay. Think about that. It's not too much. Okay. So the way to experience is not too much. Not think about it too much. Feel it. Feel it, and with this exercise, scatter it, release it, let it move. If it's something need to move, you let it move. If something need to be cultivated, you let it cultivate. Let it cultivate means, if you remember, like Little Buddha, movie Little Buddha, how was it? In Little Buddha, I don't remember, like 3 manifestation or something. Have you seen Little Buddha? How many incarnations was there in that movie?
3.
Yeah?
3.
3, okay. So similar, you can have multiple manifestations. Okay, so but what you feel like, oh, I cannot do that, you can release that energy and you can do it. So things that you cannot do, think about you can do. Things you feel too much, it's not too much. Okay, so those energy you're trying to connect, and with this exercise release. Okay, so how we do the exercise? You breathe in, you open your hand, and then you come up, and you do the massage like this. You just basically wake up all your area of the body wherever it feels like energy is blocked or being stuck. So just it's like giving a massage, and then you open your hand like this 5 times. That's like also expansion. And open this way 5 times, and then you're holding the breath all this movement. And if you feel harder to hold the breath, you can do faster, but it's as a matter of exercise. When you do quite a few times, it's easier to do it. Okay, so first reflect on the last time when you said it's too much, or last time if it's something productive, then you think it's too much that I cannot do. Think about that. See it, feel that energy, okay, and deep breathe in, open your hand. Once again, first see in one's life and feel it. Place of blockages, particularly related with the actions. See it, feel it, and let it pervade with this exercise. Once again, breathe in. One last time. Just trying to see it again very closely, looking internally, looking at your words, your feelings related with something that you feel you can't do it, not capable of doing it, or it's too much to do it. Okay. So this will be a good question for oneself to ask, like, whatever you're feeling in your life in a specific situation like that, can you simply do like this, what we just did, with so much mental activity? You can just simply do what we did. If you can do simply what we did, and you can see how this exercise can energetically clear. Of course, it will clear more when you can truly feel connection to that. Able to connect with that sense of being stuck. In the Dharma teaching, this is what it's saying. I always give example in the teaching. It says, like, Buddha manifests many embodiments. For example, the 6 realms, in a hell realm, hungry ghost, animal, think about all the beyond time and space, different time, different space, multiple manifestations. So their ability to do that has something to do with their full realization of this pervasive prana. Okay, that's what it is said. You don't have to believe in it, or we don't have to discuss about it. That's what it says. Okay. Now we can think about, okay, that seems very fancy one, right? But what will be the small scale of that in my life? I asked that question. Okay. I'm not expecting to manifest many embodiment, but what this exercise can do in a small scale for me. So that it comes down to saying, every place where you feel there are wishes, things that you wanted to do in your life, and you feel the blockages that you do in your life, particularly your own blockages, that your own mental limitations about it. That's what I look. I look at that, but I don't look at it and analyze that so much. But I'm trying to feel what I feel. Feel. It's like a deep kind of belief in me that I cannot do it, or something like that. It's just trying to see that, feel and connect with that, and then when you feel the connection to that energy, then you use this. This exercise is the delete button. Think about that. But your work is to select it properly. So if you can select properly, we have given you the button right button. But if you cannot select properly, that's hard. That is a little bit harder part. But the delete button is easy part. You can see the delete button is easy. Can you see the selecting part is a little challenging? Because we always analyze it. You see? So think about that, okay? And that way I think this exercise might be helpful. And yeah. Think less and do it. Okay? Second. So the second one is related with the secret chakra, with the sexual organ. Now, this one, it's as we said, as far as 5 qualities, we say body, speech, mind, quality, and action. That's the action. And action, we said spontaneous, effortless action. So that's what it is. So any spontaneous, effortless action can manifest when this chakra is more open. Okay? Now, if you think about any action which is not manifesting very spontaneous and effortless, that can manifest if you're trying to work with this chakra, and that can manifest if you see it's not about so much about acting, but question about not ripening, not question about not having it at all. To recognize certain quality, as we said earlier, that if it's a joyful expression, can I be joyful, express joyfully? Well, it's not spontaneously happening. I have to try hard. Well, you don't try hard. Maybe you're trying to open the secret chakra, or maybe you're trying to see the joy is not ripened, so exercise more with the fire. Maybe you don't have the joy so much, you don't feel so much joy in your life, exercise more your heart. Maybe you don't have that because of your awareness of space, awareness of openness, not so much presence in your life. Work with more thought. Maybe space is obscure with clouds of thoughts, then clear the thoughts. So it's just somehow, there's a logical sense to go back, or work area where it needs to be worked more if you are aware of it. Right? So one place is with the secret chakra. So So again, the exercise is quite simple. So you breathe in and hold, contract your both side of the sexual organ, like perineum muscles, contract inward, as if I say, or as the opposite of going to the toilet, basically. That's a simple way to say it. Okay, so if you, instead of going to the bathroom and pressuring out, you contract upward. So both sides contract up, and you do this movement. Like first one like this, you have to sit in a comfortable cushion. So basically, you're giving a massage to your bottom. Okay, five times one direction, 5 times other direction, and then you come together, and then you do like that. So it's the holding like this is more to support that. So during this 15 movement, you hold the breath, and then just open it. Okay. Okay. Let's think about something. Okay. What is there in your life that something it's ripened but not spontaneously manifesting? That makes sense? I mean, of course, there's a lot of things spontaneously not manifesting in our life. I know that. But many of them, it's not ripened. Either it's not there, or it's completely obscured, totally blocked. Therefore, you don't even expect to. You can open whole secret chakra and nothing's going to happen. Okay, so don't even try. Okay, so the only place you can try is something that it's ripened. There are a lot of qualities which is ripened, but you somehow it's not manifesting. It's that aspect of emotion is you feel it's very open, you feel very luminous, you feel a lot of quality, you feel very strong, but somehow it's not born. It's ready to be give the birth, but somehow it's not born. Okay, think about one something like that if you're aware of in your life, and then just connect with that energy. You can say, like a child, a baby, like it's okay, it's ripened, it's time to give the birth, So breathe in, hold, contract. Once again. One last time. Okay. So we'll say a few words and then we'll finish. So if you look at in your life, I mean, anything I say, that's how I look at it in my life. Okay, so it's everything. It's like more like my experience, sharing experiences. If you look at it in your life, there are a lot of things, and there are some things you haven't even discovered certain things in our life, right? There are a lot of things, so we can even not know what we haven't discovered, because since we haven't discovered, so let's not worry about that. There are a lot of things that we know something, and we're trying to understand. It's very difficult to understand, like 5 wisdoms in Buddhism, something like that. Okay, or Rigpa or something like that. Okay, so but there are a lot of other things that you feel that you are able to connect, and you are able to manifest that in your life. You are benefiting from those qualities in your life. That makes sense? Think about something that the number of things in our life that are ripened, but we haven't acted upon. I think that's the key for the night. That makes sense? There are a lot of things. I don't know. Like, there are a lot of things that, let's say, your ability to open to specific people in your life, you don't have any problem. Okay, right? Okay, let me give the other example. Okay, there are people in your life you're trying to open so hard, and you have been working so hard to open. You find it so hard in many years, right? Okay, I'm not talking about those people. But there are people who, if you wake up tomorrow morning and said, I wanted to open to these people, and you will not have any difficulty doing it, because your heart is ripened toward those people. But nevertheless, you haven't done it. You understand that? It's clear or not? So there are some things that you're trying to accomplish in your life for your happiness, and you've been working very hard, working hard. It's not working. I'm not talking about that. Maybe something, some missing an ah, some missing an om, some missing hum. I don't know where it's missing. But there are other things that tomorrow morning you can get up and have 100,000 reasons to be happy, joyful. This aspect of my life, I'm absolutely happy to be. Every reason to be happy in my life for this aspect of my life. You see that there? You will not have any problem. It's just a question of opening your eye. It's ripened. So it just simply needed to be seen and acted upon. That makes sense? So think about tomorrow morning when you get up. Look at all the things which is Ram. And you need just tomorrow morning you get up, you say Za. Okay, it means act. Because it's not going to take any time, because you're ready to do it. And I always feel like, especially if I'm feeling like kind of stress and tension with something that I'm trying to do, then I realize very often this is such a waste of time. There's so many things ready to be done while I'm not spending my time into something's ready, and I'm trying to engage so much of my time in worrying about something that's not going to happen or might never happen. You see that there? So, because still a lot of things already, even a love. Maybe you might be in a relationship with somebody who you will able to, if you open your eye and you can open your heart, you will not have any difficulty to feel so much love to that person tomorrow morning when you wake up. You will not have a hard time, because you have that love. It's ripened. It's just opening eye, just something open your eye and seeing it, the importance of it. You feel full sense of love there. But we close that aspect and trying to work hard. I'm trying to heal this relationship. If it didn't work, at least take a break, few months. Okay, a few months. Work on what is ripened, and if you work on what is ripened, you also feel beginning to see changes in your life. Oh, everything's working. You change your mood of working rather than not working. That's kind of bad mood we have. So if you look at the, I don't know if you read the 5 warrior seeds of a practice. If you look at the 5 warrior seeds of a practice, look at the ram, the fire, the ripen. If you like pervasive wind, the ripen aspect of your life, how many are there? And when you wake up tomorrow morning, say za 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 za, and trying to act on them as much as possible. And you will see so much is there, and so easy to do it because it's ready. But we are spending so much time on something that's not working and forgetting everything what is very easy for us and what is already there for us in our life. We're trying to not look at them and trying to look what is not there. Okay, so remember that these lines for the night. Okay, and probably since, as all of you know, we are trying to broadcast this, so probably many parts of the world, hopefully, are looking at that. So everybody wanted to say hello to everybody. Hi. Za. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Again, for people who want to